Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And in this video, I kind of want to talk about two topics that kind of go together. So the first one is what you should be farming right now in the game. And again, this is a general overview of, I think, the big things that you want to be focusing on. This doesn't mean that if you're farming something that isn't on this list that you're doing something wrong. I want to get that, out of the way now. But kind of the general idea of what I think accounts should be working on, because with all the changes in the game, sometimes it's really hard to figure out the areas you want to, like what you really need. And so it's good to have these general ideas, and then you can kind of go from there and build what you need. And then the second part will be the things that I'm kind of planning for in the future. And a lot of times I cover this in my account updates, but I feel that I want to kind of throw this at the end of this video right now, because there's so much changing that I think it's important you guys see what I'm trying to do. So let's get into our video, but we've got to thank the channel members first. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for your continued support. Once that clip, there it is. I don't know why it's been lagging so much lately, but the clip is up here. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for your continued support of this. If you guys are interested in joining channel memberships, there's going to be a link in the video description down below. Otherwise, guys, hit that thumbs up button. It looks like this. You hit that, and it helps the YouTube algorithm so much. And then make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. And when we do that, there'll be a special live stream similar to our Wampa 5K subscriber celebrations. That will be at a time that is very reasonable for everybody. I know when I stream most of the time, and it's been a while, I do apologize. I'll show you guys, I know it's a long intro here, but I'll show you guys what I've been doing in my evenings that's kind of stopped me from being able to stream. I'm building a swing set for my daughter, so I'll have to take some pictures and throw those in the Discord so you guys can see what this thing looks like, because it is insane. So anyway, all that aside, let's get into our video, guys. So the first thing that, if you're a newer player in the game, you guys know if you're following the farming guide, you need to be farming the Executor. Fleet crystals are so important. This ship opens a lot of doors for you that otherwise would be closed. So I think it's a no-brainer, right? And if you don't have Executor, I normally say that this should be the first thing you farm, because it's that good. It's a huge game. It is a game-changing fleet for you. It's so weird to think that the Malevolence and Negotiator are not those game-changing fleets, and that's what the Executor is, because for the longest time it was always go get your Negotiator, get your Malevolence, and the game changes for you. Now it's completely on that you need to get Executor for it to be a game-changing fleet. So that is the first thing that I would be working on if I was somebody, again, if I was gonna start a new account because I have that much time. That's what I would do. Obviously, our king is on this list. He's just reminding you that he is sitting on his lofty Relic 8 throne, and that in all things he is king. So, Return of the Jedi here. Jedi Knight Luke is the next thing that I would be working on. Again, kind of following that farming guide, but if you're not working on Jedi Knight Luke right now, ask yourself why, because this character leads you towards Jabba, he leads you towards Jedi Master Luke, and a lot of his wrecks are reused for Galactic Legend Leia. So I think he's a no-brainer, and even if when I go and eventually create my farming guide for what will be Galactic Legends Leia, I don't care that Luke isn't a requirement for her. You're still going to want to get Jedi Knight Luke along that way, because he is it's a small sidestep of some really fantastic characters that will make your account significantly better. And so I really love this Jedi Knight Luke, because it's just this stepping stone into so many other things and towards so many other good farms that he is like that essential now. And it's crazy, because Capital Games for a while was tried to not reuse characters. And recently it seems like certain characters like Jedi Knight Luke, and I think the reason they use Jedi Knight Luke is because he does take a lot of resources. So even if you do go get Jedi Knight Luke for Jedi Master Luke, you still need all the rest of the stuff for Jabba or all the rest of the stuff for GL Leia. But GL Leia and JKL and JML, they got some good overlap there. So definitely somebody I'd be working on. And again, kind of leading into, I know a lot of players were farming Jabba. Don't be worried if you're still in the middle of your Jabba farm with this new raid on the horizon, because Jabba is still an important character in this game. He's going to make you better in territory battles, territory wars, Grand Arena. The modding event is huge. The Smuggler's Run 2 is huge. So yes, he's going to lose that viability in the raid, but as I will show you down below, there's not going to be a lot of hard things to do to prepare yourself for that raid. And remember, even in this current raid, the amount of points you needed to score was like 340,000. And that took a couple, if you had a couple of Gear 11 teams, that was getting the job done. And if you have a single high relic character, they can normally do some good stuff. Like Jedi Knight Luke should be able to do a lot of damage for you in this raid. So I have a feeling that you're going to be okay. So I wouldn't be worried if you're farming Jabba and think you're going to get left behind. He is a fantastic character. And with his requirements starting to go accelerated now, I think you're going to see a lot more players obtaining him, not just more quickly, but I think we're just going to see more players going for him because that option is there for those accelerated farms. All right, so this is Profundity and Leviathan. Where do they kind of fit in here? And I'd say that this is one where you need to look at your fleet arena and your grand arenas and figure out if this is something, these are one of the ships that you should be going for. If you're in fleet arena and you're seeing that everybody's starting to get that profundity and you're not there, you might want to think about farming profundity, because it is a far superior fleet to the Executor, and it makes you a target because it is a very easy win for profundity to climb on Executors. The other thing I'll say too is in your GACs, if you're going up against a lot of opponents who also have both profundity and Executor and you don't, that's kind of your sign that you should start maybe doing something. That you can't just look at one and can't just look at the other. Like particularly I'd say GAC. You don't want to look at GAC and see, oh my gosh, my opponent has Rey, I need to get, Rey. No. Like, look at, you got to look at all of your peers, which would be your fleet arena, and then your GAC, and kind of combine the two and see, is there something in common that you're missing? And if a lot of your opponents, like I'd say that the vast majority of my opponents now have the Leviathan, they have the Profundity, I needed to get those ships in order to be competitive. So I, kind of combine those two things, and that's what made me think, I need, Leviathan. But if you're a player who you're going up against accounts, you're getting into the, high chromia or high erodium or oroidium, whatever you want to call it, and, low levels of Kyber, and you're starting to see that Profundity Executor combo a lot more often, you might want to think about farming it, because putting it off will probably only be detrimental to your account. And similarly with Leviathan, it's something that, there's a lot that came out all at once, and it's a very expensive farm, but if you're in a position where you can go after this fleet, I would highly recommend it, because I think it will be defining on defense in Grand Arena and in Fleet Arena. If your guild is in Rise of the Empire territory battles and making good progress in the planets and getting to that point where Tatooine is not only a planet that you're reaching, but one that you can maybe start doing some, operations on, you want to be thinking about Inquisitors. And there's a lot of reasons why this is such a great faction. You not only get, Grand Inquisitor and then potentially Reva as you earn those shards, but the Scythe with 5th Brother and Grand Inquisitor and the TIE Interceptor with 2nd Sister as pilots are all such fantastic ships in the Empire lineups, and they truly can allow you to make multiple fleets because of their existence. And so it's something that it has been getting Grand Inquisitor was bigger for ships than it necessarily was the characters, but I love every second of it. I think it was a great thing for my account, and I am really, really excited that my guild is ever approaching to Reva. And the one thing I want to say here that you need to kind of remember is that because Rise of the Empire is a bi-weekly territory battle, comparative to the Geonosis where it alternated between light side and dark side once a month. So the amount of time it takes to get Reva, in reality, is half of what it would to get Kaidi Mundi or Wat Tambor, because you could only do the cam mission once a month. You can only do Wat once a month. You can do Reva twice a month. So it's a lot more lucrative to start working on those Inquisitors and earning her earlier, because it takes that much less time. Comparative to Kaidi Mundi where, okay, maybe I can wait a month and it's not like the worst thing in the world because it's such a long way away. Whereas with Reva, you think in full reality, it takes guilds, not even 7, it takes you 7 territory battles if your entire guild got Reva. So that's 3.5 months to get Reva if your entire guild got 50. I get that that's a huge, but that's just that's the math, the way it works out. So, keep that in mind. Let that sink in. That's something I would really say is important, that you want to be working on those Inquisitors. Then finally, this is kind of where what you should be working on and what I'm going to be working on can mesh. I think that for a lot of players, the Leia requirements will make a ton of sense. If you just got Jabba unlocked, you're kind of looking for that next thing to do. I mean, Leia might be a really good option, because you already have Jedi Knight Luke, which means you have some of her Rex. She does have 4 new characters, which is tough. You've got Nisa, you got Captain Rex, who we got some bonus drops for. Scout Trooper is not farmable yet, and Drogon isn't even in the game. So there is a lot of stuff there. However, with her not only being necessary for this new raid, but being what she's going to be for as an offensive Galactic Legend, which I think is going to be she's going to be the Jabba counter for a lot of people. I think that Leia is going to be that important. Something that if you're just now getting Jedi Knight Luke, and you want to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to switch to Leia instead of go for Jabba, I wouldn't blame you. And I've told a lot of players that in roster reviews. They're in the middle of their Jabba farm and they're trying to get Jedi Knight Luke, and I'm saying I think you could potentially pivot towards Leia. I'm not editing that out. Excuse me. That you could pivot towards Leia because her requirements are very player friendly. What I was really waiting for was multiple Relic 8s, like a Lord Vader type thing, and it really wasn't that. You got 4 Relic 7s for newer characters, but none of them are, you even look at like what they are, and they're all characters that I feel you're going to easily find homes for. So I'm pretty excited with that. So, and obviously I'm going for Leia. I'm also beginning to think about with Beskar Gideon coming to Conquest. So this is a situation where if you're a player and you're thinking about what some side farming you could do, Imperial Remnants are fantastic. One, Moff Gideon is a great Imperial Trooper. Dark Trooper is the staple in the Veers team right now. But then Death Trooper is a pilot in the TIE Reaper. Stormtrooper is actually a solid tank for a couple different teams. And he's got some decent viability with, under Iden. And then finally, Scout Trooper, who has a lot of Imperial Remnant synergy, but is going to be able to get used with Iden for the time being. But with this new Moff Gideon team coming, we don't know what the makeup is going to be yet. We don't know what characters are going there. And so you're going to want to have this. Because if Beskar Gideon comes out and is fantastic, the one I always say that Conquest is a very player-friendly game mode. Because, just hear me out. If you're able to get that max crate, and I know that's a big if, but understand the concept here. If you're able to get max crate, you can get that character in the same number of conquests as Arnold, as Zareth, as Heinze, as all those massive content creators. Fatal, Aesop Rock, who's the number one in Kyber GAC. If I can get the max crate, I'm unlocking Beskar Gideon at the same time that they are. That's the big thing with Conquest that I feel is so player friendly. You can whale to make things easier, but you will not get that character any earlier than somebody else who's going to get that character in 3 conquests. There's no way to get it faster. That's why I think Conquest is such a player-friendly game mode. I also think for a lot of players, I always say that box 6 is your goal. That gets you the character in 6 conquests if you're buying the shards and following along. If Beskar Gideon comes out and they're like, this character's amazing, and you're, okay, I'm going to get him in 6 conquests, one, you know what you need to do going forward. But the second part of that is you can start building that team and investing the characters you need to get the most out of them. So I 1000% am going to start thinking about this team and when I want to start gearing them, because I've already invested a good bit of gear here, which is in my, it's awesome. That these are all, these 2 characters right here have been this level since probably 2016. So, they've been there a long time. And then Scout Trooper, I just took him to gear 11 because I will use him with Item Versio. And then I've got my Phoenix Squadron here. And this is something that I've been kind of thinking of as a side project. With Captain Rex going to be Relic 7. I'm heavily considering gearing Phoenix Squadron because they're a solid team. There's some really good synergy. And for me, I see this as not only will I get to level up some other character, get another good team here, but they're also pilots, right? Sabine, Kanan, Chopper. I don't know what I'll do with Zeb and Ezra yet. I don't know what that will look like because I don't know what there's a lot of, is Zeb better? Is Kanan better? We'll kind of argue that point till the cows come home. But I really think that this is a team that I could put some investment in and at least get some solid use out of in GAC. So I am looking forward to that. And it's something that I might consider because they don't need a lot of Kyrotech. And Kyrotech's kind of that big crunch for me right now. If they're just core gear intensive, it's really not that much for me, particularly because Sabine is already gear 11. So it's not that much more work for her. Obviously, for Kanan and Chopper, I'll probably cry myself to sleep when I gear them up, but it is what it is. And then finally, we've got the Seer Squad. So I am slowly farming Seer Junda shards. I'm not taking it, like, I'm not going crazy fast. I'm just doing it enough every single day. Obviously, I'm going to be getting Reva at some point here, so I will be gearing her up immediately. Like, as soon as I unlock her, she's getting geared up. That will halt my Leia farm a little bit, and that's fine. Reva needs that. And then I will be getting Terran Malicos probably in 6 conquests. So if he does really good things with Lord Vader, that's another one that I would potentially halt my Leia progress for if he's needed it. You know, I can get him to Relic 7 pretty easily. If he makes a big difference to a Lord Vader team, I would 100% put him in. I don't know if I would take Maul out at that point, but it would either give me 2 unaligned Force users in there, which would be great, or I can move Maul out of that squad, start using Mandalorians again, and that's a win-win situation for everybody. Cal Ripken Jr. here, that's kind of a maybe. We'll kind of see how things start panning out. He has an 8 energy node, so it's not that hard to get him. It's more so me just kind of sucking it up and not getting signal data for a little bit. And a lot of that will depend on how intensive I go with side projects and other things that come out. Because you realistically think right now, like, definitely Reva's going to get gear, you know, Relic 7. I've got my Leia Rex. Beskar Gideon's going to get gear on him. You know, Malicos, it's going to be tight. I still haven't done Trench yet, but I don't feel as bad about that one as I would maybe missing out on somebody who I can plug right into that Lord Vader team and get crazy good use out of. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. But those are kind of the things that I'm starting to think about. And that's just characters like gearing and relics. I have a whole other list of things that I want to relic in the coming weeks. But again, a lot of that's just going to depend on what my income looks like over the next, you know, if I can continue with Fleet Arena, with GAC, and then how the gear farm continues to transpire. Because I definitely was a little bit neglectful of shards over the past few days with bonus drops, double drops, and things. So I need to start getting back on that wagon. But that's the end of the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave likes, leave the comment. Wampa is king. You guys know the drill. I love all you. May the force be with you. And I'll see you on the next video, guys. Cheers.